Good afternoon or good morning. Welcome everyone to the GSMA Mobile for Development Utilities session on the future of pay-as-you-go partnerships. My name is Alana Cohen and I lead our Mobile for Development Utilities program. I'd like to start by giving a brief introduction to our program, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague to share some really great insights around the value of pay-as-you-go solar for mobile operators. And then we'll have a panel discussion moderated by Koen Peters, the Executive Director for the Off-Grid Solar Association, GOGLA. So if I can go ahead and get started, the Mobile for Development Utilities program sits within the GSMA, which represents the interests of mobile operators around the world. And within that, our foundation drives digital innovation in technology to reduce inequalities in our world. Within that specifically, our program is focused on the opportunity in emerging markets where millions, if not billions, lack access to essential energy, water, and sanitation services that are reliable and, but are covered by mobile networks. So the opportunity that we see is how can we leverage the access to mobile networks to provide access to energy, water, and sanitation services in a way that's affordable, safe, and reliable. And we're pleased to have support for our program from the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, as well as the GSMA and its members. If I go to the next slide, thank you. We do this through a few main activities. One of our main activities is our Innovation Fund, where we support innovators to trial these models of using mobile technology to enable access to energy, water, and sanitation. So that's mainly aimed at startups, and we support them with grant funding as well as mobile-focused mentoring and really helping to enable partnerships with the mobile industry. The output from those grants is that we provide insights and results and knowledge sharing with the broader industry in order to share best practices and promote learnings and partnerships. And through those program activities, if we go to the next slide, we can see some of the impact our program has had over the years. So we've dispersed £9.4 million of grant funding to 53 projects between 2013 and 2020. And that has allowed us to improve the lives of 6.2 million people with improved access to energy, water, and sanitation services. What we're really excited about is those companies have gone on to fundraise another £286 million following our grant support. And we're also really proud that we've helped to support 42 partnerships with mobile operators. So with that, I want to hand it over to my colleague Lemma, who will share with us some insights on the value of pay-as-you-go solar for mobile operators. Take it away, Lemma.
Thank you, Ilana. As Ilana mentioned, my name is Lemma. I am a Senior Market Engagement Manager in our Utilities program, and I'm pleased to present these slides to you about our report, The Value of Pay-as-you-go Solar for Mobile Operators. The pay-as-you-go solar model has spread rapidly across developing countries as a means of delivering energy access, with over 1 million devices sold during the first 6 months of 2019. The growth of pay-as-you-go solar has only been possible with the rapid growth of mobile money and mobile connectivity that allows customers to pay for by installments and companies to remotely control and monitor solar home systems. In turn, the pay-as-you-go solar industry has helped to drive the adoption and use of mobile money by giving customers a regular and essential use case. This report provides the first multi-country analysis to quantify the value of that synergy for the mobile industry. In terms of the study approach, it was done by looking at mobile usage data from cohorts of pay-as-you-go solar customers, starting 6 months before and through the first 6 months of making solar home system payments, and comparing this same analysis to a control group, which is those customers not using pay-as-you-go solar but have similar socioeconomic characteristics as the pay-as-you-go solar cohorts. In order not to breach individual privacy, all pay-as-you-go solar clients that share the same subscription month were grouped into a single cohort. So in the chart here, for example, cohort 1 were those customers that subscribed to solar home systems in March 2017 and so forth. There were 3 main categories of metrics that were used to evaluate the value of pay-as-you-go solar for the mobile operators. The first category assesses how the overall revenue generated by the pay-as-you-go solar user evolved. The second focuses on measuring if the broader mobile phone activity changed since customers started using pay-as-you-go solar. So this includes things like a number of phone calls, SMS and data activity. And the third measured if and how the mobile money customer activity changed for the pay-as-you-go user. One of the criteria for the study was to have a multi-country and multi-operator approach. It was important to assess if the value measured differs greatly from one country to another, or if trends are consistent across different contexts and geographies. The geographical scope of the study focused on the African continent, where most of the mobile money-enabled pay-as-you-go solar units have been deployed. 5 countries are represented in this study, 2 in West Africa, Benin and Cote d'Ivoire, 2 in East Africa, Rwanda and Uganda, and 1 in Southern Africa, Zambia. While Benin is the market in our study that demonstrated the largest impact of pay-as-you-go solar on mobile money transactions frequency, data from MNOs in other study markets confirmed this strong positive impact. So each line in this chart represents a different cohort of pay-as-you-go solar users that I mentioned earlier. Overall, pay-as-you-go customers show a significantly higher increase in mobile money transactions per month as compared to control groups across all markets studied. The yellow lines in the charts represents the average of all the cohorts per country, and the blue line represents the control group. The overall increase in transactions beyond energy payments is crucial for mobile operators, as it means that pay-as-you-go solar not only drives mobile money transactions frequency, but also generates other payment use cases that drive transaction frequency. The breakdown of increased transaction frequency shows that all transaction categories, including cash in, cash out, merchant payments, person-to-person payments, airtime purchase, grew positively and outperformed the control group. The graph on the left, the chart on the left represents pay-as-you-go solar payments as a subset of the frequency of other mobile money transactions in Benin. And in Uganda, we dive into the other transaction types. And as you can see, solar use case being a small subset of other payment types. And basically, pay-as-you-go solar provides an important role in driving mobile money penetration and providing customer education mobile money in remote rural areas. These figures reveal that pay-as-you-go solar can drive mobile money ecosystems by providing customers with a reason to use mobile money, even if they had stopped using it previously. And you can see new and reactivated accounts after starting to use solar home systems in the different countries. In the 2 countries where information on mobile internet usage was available, the growth of the penetration rate was strong and higher than for the control group. In Cote d'Ivoire, there was an increase of nearly 31% of clients using data after adopting the pay-as-you-go solar service compared to 9% growth for non-pay-as-you-go customers. Although the graphs suggest the growth started before the adoption of pay-as-you-go solar, you can clearly notice another boost effect from the start of pay-as-you-go solar usage, when the penetration rate jumped from 59% to 66% for pay-as-you-go clients. This is something that we hope to study further to understand it more clearly. Average revenue per user, ARPU, provides a granular view at a per user level and allows mobile operators to track revenue sources and growth. Mobile operators have continuously tried to raise ARPU by launching new service offerings, building more strategic partnerships, and tapping into new revenue streams. The pay-as-you-go industry represents such a strategic opportunity. In our study, the pay-as-you-go customers clearly outperformed the control group in terms of ARPU. as you can see on these charts. And finally, a key concern for mobile operators in emerging markets is that voice and SMS services, which have historically accounted for the bulk of mobile operator revenues, are not going to be key revenue drivers of the industry going forward due to fierce price competition and a shift towards higher value services. So given the need for mobile operators to diversify their revenue base, our analysis of the impact of pay-as-you-go on overall ARPU suggests that pay-as-you-go adoption can drive new revenue streams and make mobile operators less vulnerable to declining revenues. From the charts, we can see that across the control groups in all markets, we see a clear confirmation of the market trend of declining voice revenues. Pay-as-you-go adoption seems to serve as a buffer against this trend, as voice revenues among the pay-as-you-go customers seem to show modest growth. We also see that data and mobile money revenue for the pay-as-you-go groups is higher than the control groups in all markets. Thank you very much. We welcome you to read our report, The Value of Pay-as-you-Go Solar for Mobile Operators, and we'd love to hear your feedback. I'll just post here briefly for you to note our program email, as well as Twitter, GSMA M4D. My email is also here if you want to reach out. As Ilana mentioned, our program, the GSMA Mobile for Development Utilities program, is funded by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office and supported by the GSMA and its members. Thank you. I now would like to hand over to Koen Peters, our Google Executive Director, to lead our panel session.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much, Ilana and Lemma, for that great presentation. My name is Koen Peters. I'm the director of GOGLA, the Industry Association for Off-Grid Solar Electrification. That includes all the pay-as-you-go leading companies. And I'm here to lead a great panel. I think the relationship between mobile telecom and off-grid solar electrification has always looked very promising to us and to GSMA, which is why I think we've had a warm relationship with GSMA now for several years. And we've also seen in the last decade or so that the pay-as-you-go sector has existed. We've seen lots of partnerships develop between mobile operators and pay-as-you-go companies. Still, not to the full potential of what could be there, I think. So what we want to do today is explore what could be lying ahead of us in terms of further partnerships between mobile operators and pay-as-you-go companies. We have a panel here today with 3 pay-as-you-go companies and 1 mobile operator. We have here Andrew Kent from Bboxx, Carole Henry from Engie, William Makubalo from VITALITE as pay-as-you-go operators, and Stephen Mutana from MTN. Welcome everyone for this to join us in this panel conversation. Meanwhile, before I kick off with the panel, I'd like to encourage the people in the audience who are listening in to post questions to the panel. If they have them, put them in the chat box. We should get to see them as well, and we'll try to answer them within the panel as much as we can. Maybe I'll start with first a quick round of introductions. So I'd like to ask all of you to introduce who you are, what your company is, and particularly what you are doing as a pay-go company with mobile operators, and what you think the value of the partnership is for your mobile operator. And Stephen, you can speak for yourself about what the value is for yourself as a mobile operator. Andrew, you're still on mute, so we might want to unmute you, but can I ask you to start?
Yeah, so my name's Andrew. I've been in the off-grid sector in East Africa for about 9 years. 7 of those have been with Bboxx in various different roles. So currently I'm the product manager for our Pulse software platform that deals with helping our operating companies and helping other operating companies to, well, operate their businesses, everything from sales to payments to after sales. And how long do I have, by the way? Is this the
short introduction? Keep it short. I'll come back with more questions.
Great. So I think I'll leave it at that then.
Well, tell us a little bit about what Bboxx is doing with mobile operators. Because you have various different partnerships. If you can focus a little bit on that and which countries you work and with mobile operators. Got it.
So Bboxx is in 10 markets in both East and West Africa, and we have a few different structures of partnerships with mobile operators. So. The most basic, which is what we have everywhere, is mobile payments. That one's pretty obvious. The second one is USSD menus for customers to be able to access basic account information, so that they don't have to call a shop, call a call center. Those are big costs for a lot of pay-as-you-go operators. So being able to use USSD is helpful to the customers to get 24/7 service, and helpful to companies for being able to answer questions at lower costs. And then the third type of partnership we have is with Orange Telecom. And that breaks down into two things that we're doing with them. So one is a distribution partnership in West Africa, where we're supplying them with solar pay-as-you-go hardware systems made by Bboxx, as well as the Pulse software to manage the distribution networks. And then they are doing the distribution through their standard networks that are used to selling things like phones and airtime. Then the second partnership with Orange is around mini grids. So we're launching partnerships with them around telecom towers in a couple of different countries. So those are the main partnerships that we have.
Okay. Thanks very much, Andrew, for that. So mobile money, USSD services across the 10 countries in which you work, and a more deeper relationship around distribution and about powering telecom towers with Orange in some of the other countries. I believe you mentioned earlier five countries, right?
Yes.
Cool. Carole, let me move to you. Engie has acquired Phoenix and Mobisol in the industry, and you're also working in the mini-grids sector space. Can you tell us a little bit on your partnership with mobile telecom operators?
Okay, thank you. Just let me give you a brief introduction of what Engie is. So my name is Carole Henry. I am the head of innovation and digital and the chief data officer at Engie Africa. So Engie is a large independent electricity producer and one of the major players in natural gas and energy services. We have more than 15 years of experience on the African continent, and we have the unique ability to implement integrated solutions from centralized electricity production to off-grid solutions. So, by the way, Engie Africa provides decentralized clean energy to more than 4 million people in 9 countries in Africa with solar pay-as-you-go solutions, such as solar home system through Phoenix International and Mobisol, and mini-grids with Power Corner. So the kind of partnership we have with the mobile operators, given the density of their point of sales and the penetration of the mobile money, we use, like Bboxx, the USSD technology to manage customers' transactions, such as payment, for example, or maintenance, or different interactions we have with our customers.
Thank you, Carole. I'll come back to you later with more questions on that. But let me first ask William from VITALITE to tell us a little bit about what your experiences are in working together with mobile telecom operators in Zambia.
Thank you, Kun. VITALITE Zambia is a renewable energy company that's now a community service and distribution company. We supply high-impact goods and services to rural Zambia. We were established in 2013 and have expanded into 9 of the 10 provinces in Zambia. We also have presence in Malawi now and Senegal. I think it goes to say, as you can tell from what my other panelists have said, it's difficult to run a pay-as-you-go business without a partnership with a mobile network operator. The reason for this is quite simple, because it will become very, very impossible to run your transactions and manage the customers, as pay-as-you-go companies have numerous customers. So our partnerships, we have a partnership with 2 of the MNOs here in Zambia. And the main thing we do with them mostly is, as others have said, USSD transactions and payments from customers.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, William. We'll get back to you as well, and also on some of your experiences in broadening that your service package. But first, let me ask Stephen Mutana from MTN to introduce a little bit his experience in working with the mobile, with the pay-as-you-go sector from a mobile operator point of view. Stephen.
Thank you, Koen, and hello, everyone. So I'm part of MTN Uganda, which is part of MTN Group, which is an emerging markets operator, present in over 21 countries in Africa and the Middle East. And we play across the voice, data, mobile money or fintech, digital services, wholesale, and enterprise segments. And we've had a very, very productive relationship as MTN Uganda with solar home systems companies, the oldest being Phoenix. We started out with Phoenix many years ago, I think over 10 years ago. But we've also got relationships with a number of others like M-Copper and 2 other local companies. Now, the reason we onboarded these solar home solution partners essentially is to broaden to tap into the entrepreneurial abilities of these organizations to deliver relevant services as part of a wider agenda to not only have the basic services on the mobile money platforms that we run, but also move customers into the more advanced services, of which solar home systems are an example.
Thanks, Stephen. We'll get back to you. Once again, I can encourage people to ask questions to these people that you'd like to get answered on the future of partnerships. Back to you, Andrew. You talked about having different levels of partnerships with mobile operators. You're active in 10 different countries. You're also known in the pay-as-you-go sector, at least, as a company that's very active in developing partnerships with governments. You have that in Togo. You have ongoing discussions with other governments. You've been promoting more public funding and subsidies to go into that sector. Can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are, your visions about going forward with developing partnerships with mobile operators, and then secondly, developing partnerships with governments in that triangle?
Yeah, thanks. Good questions. So I think with mobile operators, there's a few different directions that partnerships can go. So the first, I would say, is around what I would call on-bill financing, this idea of using a solar system as an asset to finance something else. I know we're doing this with appliances. Other companies are doing this with cash and things like school fees, where you extend a loan to a customer, increase the price that they're paying for the solar system for a period of time until they finish paying off the other loan. I think that can be really interesting for customers. It can really change their lives when they get access to financing and products that require financing. But for mobile operators as well, I think who are looking to increase data usage, and smartphone penetration is obviously a barrier for that. So partnering with mobile operators to do things like smartphone loans could be an interesting avenue to go into. The second thing is around data. We've developed in-house a credit scoring algorithm based on our data that we're currently piloting in Kenya. But I think that could be a lot more powerful if we're able to combine that with the vast data that the mobile operators have. And I think Carole has more to say about that later. So then the third, I would say, is expanding mobile money penetration through our agent network. So you saw from those stats that a lot of customers were signing up for mobile money for the first time when they got access to solar. And I think it could be really interesting to have some sort of partnership where mobile money agents become sales agents for pay-as-you-go companies, or vice versa. Our own sales agents could become mobile money agents to help customers sign up, take payments, things like that. So that's with the mobile operators. With governments, I think there's a couple of big areas that we're looking to partner. So one of the things that's really on the table in Rwanda as a country is really pushing for cashless payments. And I think that governments should support the growth of pay-as-you-go solar companies, because to the extent that that can bring more people into the mobile money ecosystem, that can help drive cashless payments, which can accomplish those objectives for governments. But what we're also doing, and this is probably the even bigger thing, in both Rwanda and Togo, we have partnerships with the governments to subsidize the cost of electricity. One of the interesting and kind of sad things is that because the grid is subsidized in most markets, but pay-as-you-go solar isn't, what it means is that the only people who are actually paying the full cost of electricity are the people who are least able to pay it in the rural areas, and that's why we partnered with. That's why we partnered with the government of Togo, government of Rwanda, to extend subsidies to our customers. The mobile operators have been very, very key to that, especially in Togo, where they're actually the ones who disperse the subsidy funds. So a customer makes a payment through mobile money, the telco checks that that customer qualifies for the subsidy, and if it does, then they top up that customer's payment before sending it to Bboxx, so that we get what the customer paid plus the amount of the subsidy. I'll stop there. I've been talking for.
Yeah, maybe I can follow up with a question on that. Do you feel that a partnership with a mobile operator helps you in your conversation with the government? Mobile operators, the mobile phone sector has been around for longer than the pay-as-you-go industry. They might have more brand recognition and name recognition with governments. They are often larger players. Does it help to come through the door of a ministry with a mobile operator as a partner, or does it take the spotlight away from you?
So, you know, I don't have the direct experience with forming those partnerships. I haven't been in the room when that's happened. It certainly doesn't hurt to be able to go into a conversation with the ministry and say that payments are happening digitally. I think that that's actually the bigger thing that they appreciate is, you know, cash payments are hard to track, they're hard to trust, and therefore you get a lot more credibility when you can tell a government that, look, we're not just a random shop that's accepting cash payments. This is done digitally. The data is all there. It can be tracked. It can be, you know, there's low risk of fraud, and I think the governments appreciate that. I would also say that it's also gone the other way around as well, where government partnerships have helped us with telcos. It makes it easier to go in and, as a new player in the market, working with one of the big companies, to be able to say that you know, you have the backing of the national government. And I think where we really saw that was in Togo, where being partnered with the government, I think, really increased the willingness of the telcos not only to work with us, but to do some of the more innovative things like the subsidy, and they've been great partners there. So.
Thanks, Andrew. Which I think is a nice bridge to Carole, because of course, in terms of size of company and name recognition, the balance between Engie and mobile operators will be different than between startup pay-as-you-go companies and mobile operators. How does it work for Engie in your partnership with mobile operators? Where does the initiative and the lies in the partnership, and how do you balance the various interests and strengths of the players in the partnership?
So first of all, I would like just to briefly give you what are our goals in terms of innovation, because we are focusing on catalyzing new technologies such as AI and identifying new solutions in a holistic approach, first of all, because I am convinced that being able to offer at least two essential services to our customers, combining, for example, electricity plus water plus internet connectivity and electricity in a productive usages particularly, could help us to tackle the issues led by the Sustainable Development Goals and contribute to the local development. This is my first point. So I think that if we are able to share data, to connect data between electricity, between water, and the mobile operator data, it could be a good partnership, a very interesting partnership. Concretely speaking, currently we are conducting a pilot in Rwanda with the company of Bboxx that have a very holistic solution that can provide electricity, water, and Wi-Fi to the local communities, the poorest communities in informal settlement. So the aim of this pilot is to better understand the penetration of this kind of holistic solution, first of all. And the second objective of this pilot is to collect data from the customers and as well, and I hope so, from the mobile operators, to be able to better serve the local communities and to be able to better understand their behaviors in terms of adoption, in terms of the ability to respect the contract, because the main issue we have with the local community as pay-as-you-go solar providers is to get the payment from our customers. And for that, we need to better assess our willingness or their understanding of the contract that we have with them. And in terms of credit scoring, our objective is to improve our models for the credit scoring and to be able to better understand the informal economy as well. So I think this kind of partnership between the mobile operator could help each other to understand the informal economy, with the objective, for example, for the government, the local government to be able to collect the taxes, and for us to be able to attract more customers, and I would say more relevant customers, because I think that Bboxx face the same issue as us. Are we able to evaluate the capacity of reimbursement of our customers, the capacity of understanding the contract they have, and to be able to provide the best services to the communities?
Okay, thanks very much, Carole. So what I understand is what you're saying is energy for you is not the end in itself, but you'd like to use that as a vehicle to also provide other needs and services to customer. And I think Andrew spoke to that as well. You gave an example of off-grid providing Wi-Fi and water services. And where you'd like to work together with mobile operators is to talk about exchanging data and insights, for instance, to improve credit scoring. But it brings me back to my earlier question. If, for instance, you start to provide those Wi-Fi services through a subsidiary, are you then in the way of mobile operators, or is there an appeal for you to work with mobile operators? Can you reinforce each other?
Yes, I think we can reinforce each other, and my goal is to work with mobile operator to provide this kind of service, because the core of our business is the electricity. Okay, so we are not the expert in mobile operators. Look, what we need is to have a sustainable partnership with them, to combine our forces to be able to provide the services to the communities. So what I imagine is a very, very strong partnership between mobile operator in terms of providing the service, electricity for us, and internet connectivity, for example, for the mobile operator, and to be able to share the data with the same goal to be able to more onboard our customer and identify the needs of our customers.
Okay, thanks very much, Carole. William, Carole spoke about providing more than just energy services. Andrew spoke to that as well. You've been piloting, I think, with GSMA's help to sell smartphones on the back of your solar home systems. Can you tell us a little bit more about this and how that has worked to reinforce partnership with mobile operators or not?
Yeah, so I must say I resonate with what the two speakers have said. It is very clear, for example, here in Zambia, rural Zambia, that the need of our customers goes far beyond energy. You find that there's needs in agriculture, there's needs in water and sanitation, there's need in technology, information. There's so many needs, and the truth of the matter is last mile distribution is not an easy ask. And thus companies like Bboxx, Engie, and VITALITE, who've embarked on this journey, find that there's more that you need to put in to unlock rural communities. And partnerships with MNOs have come in handy because as much as you may sell a product into these rural communities, you need to create platforms through which you're able to receive your payments and platforms through which you communicate with the rural communities. So coming now to speak about the pilot we ran with the GSMA, with support of the GSMA, we realized that amongst all these needs, one of the most logical steps were smartphones. So as VITALITE, we embarked on a pilot, and what I would call a successful pilot in partnership with MTN Zambia and Airtel Zambia, where we worked with them to sell smartphones to rural communities. We used two means mostly. One was through partnership with a software provider called PAYG, now called Finco, and the other was actually by us using our own solar home system battery boxes as collateral. It proved quite helpful because we increased our customer retention and were able to show customers that pay-as-you-go companies have unlocked these areas and are able to provide more than just renewable energy.
Okay, thanks very much, William, for that insight. There's a question that I saw here, which I think I'll immediately follow up with you on that question, because I think it's an interesting question about what are the most challenging technical issues that you faced in working to deliver pay-as-you-go, particularly on the interface with mobile operators. Is that something you'd like to speak to?
Sure. When VITALITE was setting up VITALITE Zambia, we found that the almost non-existent use cases for mobile money in rural Zambia. And as we started to engage with the mobile network operators, they wanted to have proven business cases of how pay-as-you-go would unlock rural Zambia or would make business sense for them. So this took some time and a lot of convincing. We had to prove that our colleagues in Eastern Africa were, doing well through pay-as-you-go. We had to show the numbers, and we had to embark on API integrations that the local MNOs had not yet engaged in. So our initial integration took as long as a year to come through. And I think for us, that was a good learning curve, and it helped open up the space for other players on the market, because now it's quite easier to get these integrations and provide use cases to the mobile network operators, because they now understand the power of PAYG and what PAYG can do, as can be seen from the report that was shared, where we had 28% increase in mobile money transactions due to PAYG. Another thing that I would also commend the MNOs for was their support as we tried to pivot towards an industry that was completely new to us. So speaking on smartphones, we had no idea about smartphones. All we knew was pay-as-you-go. and solar home systems. But with the partnership with MNOs, they're able to introduce us to smartphone suppliers and give us access to the stakeholders who were able to assist.
Okay, great. I think that was a nice insight in the history of building up experience with working together and how we've advanced in that, making it easier to pick up from where we stand right now as experience has built up on the technical challenges. Stephen, over to you. There's a question in the chat box that I also would like to ask you, and particularly what makes a good partnership for you with a pay-as-you-go company. What's interesting for MTN in a partnership with pay-go companies that makes you enthusiastic?
So thank you, Koen. I think from the previous speaker, William, you can kind of see the direction that we take with these partnerships. Number one is obviously the entrepreneurial zeal, where they are connected to a mission. As the previous speakers spoke, around improving lives, around improving access to these services to customers. And in all these instances, they focused on the peri-urban or rural customers. So that's one. Two, a very clear value proposition. And this could even be at the start, and we've seen it in most of the cases, a very clear, succinct, minimum lovable proposition that they are able to articulate and position with the customer. And then I guess the other aspect is an openness to co-create, to collaborate, to learn together with the MNO across all aspects of the ecosystem. This could be across the distribution, it could be around pricing, it could be around how the value proposition can be rejigged or focused, and essentially around issues like customer education and how we can do more, especially when they're targeting these very crucial segments. As I pointed out, MTN is in the emerging markets area. So this is very important to us, that we always position these propositions at the right level to ensure that we can optimize success as much as possible. Then, of course, the bigger thing is the culture. Organizations, people have cultures, organizations have cultures. Just making sure that there's alignment at a cultural level so that it just makes everything so much easier. And then, of course, there's the interoperability around most of the solutions that these entrepreneurs or partners are utilizing in delivering these propositions.
Okay.
I think that would sum up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is really interesting. So you're looking for entrepreneurship, for distribution capacity, for reaching beyond the services that you can offer yourself. Carole from Engie also spoke particularly about using each other's data to improve, for instance, credit scoring. Do you find that in your partnerships with mobile operators, you've been able to access entire new sets of data that have enriched your own data and have opened up your possibilities to broaden your service offering?
Yeah, I think that the mobile operators such as FTN has a lot of interesting information that we can share, we can have. But the fact is, the first things we have to do is to find use cases with a business case. Can give you an example of the credit scoring or the customer vetting, how we can evaluate the capacity or the ability of our customers to understand the contract, to engage with us. I think this first, it is a barrier that we have. And in terms of approach with MTN or, for example, another operator, I think that the kind of data we can share about mobile money can help us to digitize the informal economy, informal economy, and to better understand the level of revenues of our customers, for example, and as well their habits. For example, right now we have another pilot in South Africa with PAYG, which is a very disruptive model that offers gas in a fractional way to the low-income population. And we have a partnership that consists in sharing data as well. And this is a cashless solution. And then we will like to have a partnership with a local mobile operator. And it is something we are discussing now to have different kind of sources that can help us to create credit scoring models and customer vetting models to better serve our customers. So this is a call from my side to the mobile operators. Can we consider a very, very fair partnership together to share this data and to create very interesting use cases?
Thanks, Carole. Well, Stephen, that's a request to you. Carole considers that they have very valuable data and insights that open up entirely new alleys for mobile operators. Do you see it the same way?
So, back to our brand belief, where we believe that everyone should participate or should receive the benefits of a modern connected life. I think that truly underscores our belief as a brand in the emerging markets and the kind of services we offer and the extent to which we will go to innovate and drive these services. So as Carole pointed out, on a partnership basis, using a fair approach, the fact is that even just outside fintech or the mobile money offerings, MNOs, I think, are in a very privileged position because these customers are customers across a number of areas. They're customers for voice, they're customers for data, they're customers for internet, they're customers for mobile money. So we see and we experience a lot of customer behavior. Now, I think, and it's also clearly stated that with the potential to, with the advancements in analytics, we're able to draw insights from these customers, not only to improve existing services, but to innovate. And innovation is not only internal, but with partners as well. So I think Carole's suggestion or point is well received, because innovation is just not internal, it's external. And nowadays with the data we have and the capacity and potential to understand and draw insights, that would logically translate to that. But I think the other perspective we need to put into place, and we are currently working with regulators across our different markets, is to understand the form, the format, and the framework within which to achieve these objectives of innovation that are driven by customer insights. So obviously, there's the legal framework, the regulatory framework, which we are compliant to. And I think it's to bring the wider stakeholders into the discussion to possibly move from what we would call data sharing to insights or making data more understandable. And this we can obviously, within the confines of the law and regulation, try and unlock with our partners. So it's a big opportunity space.
Yes, so that's certainly an area where we might see a lot of development then in the future between the data providers on the PAYG sector and the data providers on the MNO sector, exchanging insights on how to move the market further. Cool. Sticking a little bit to that, Andrew, moving back to you. Carole spoke about using data for credit scoring. Now we got a question in the chat box. On how you do credit scoring? I think a fairly technical operational question. Can you speak to that and particularly on how you work on that with mobile operators, if you do that at all?
Yeah, good question. So I can go to that without going into too much detail. But so we do credit scoring for existing Bboxx customers. And by the way, this is something that that's still in the pilot phase. So we haven't rolled it out to all of our markets yet. But it's just an algorithm that crunches all the data that we have of customers, their repayment history, the number of times that they've had to call us about something, the number of times that they've been late. And then the next step, one of the things we're looking to do is integrate in some of the energy usage data to see if the way that people use energy has anything to do with their repayments. And then it gives a recommendation for who should be allowed to get additional credit from Bboxx, whether that's a loan for a TV or a radio or potentially other things. Now, like I said, that's only for existing customers right now. And then that brings us to the second part of your question about what we're doing with mobile operators. So right now, we're not doing any sort of data sharing in that regard. But I think that would be something that would be really, really interesting for us, because not only for existing customers would that give a lot more data about customer behavior that would help make those decisions better, but it would also open up credit to people who don't have a payment history with us. I think part of the question was the fact that customers, these are a lot of times unbanked people, they don't have credit histories, and so as a result, it's hard for them to access credit. And so the mobile operator data could be a sort of alternative credit score. And I know that, of course, there's concerns about data privacy, and those are very important issues to take into consideration. But if you also look at the potential for that, that people who have no access to credit would then be able to get it. Pretty much every time we visited customers, we asked them, well, what else would you like to see from Bboxx? They almost all say, we want more loans. I want to get a cow. I want to buy fertilizer. I want to improve my house. I need school fees. And I think that'd be a really, really powerful tool for improving people's lives.
Okay, thanks very much, Andrew. There was another question that I think is also interesting to pose to you, staying to the question around data and bringing back the conversation around governments and government subsidy in this space. Would you be willing to share data with governments that helps governments to understand their performance on energy access?
So I would say it depends on, like we said, data privacy is important, and it depends on exactly what that data is. But I do know that that's something that I think is one of the things that we've talked about and have been asked about is because we're each of the units that we install is equipped with remote monitoring, and so we know how much energy the person's using, what time of day, that sort of thing. And so we haven't, I would say, leveraged that to its full potential with governments yet, but it's certainly something that I think has a lot of potential to do. Great,
thanks. I'm moving on to William from VITALITE. One of the other questions that we found in the chat box is how do PAYG companies and mobile operators work together with NGOs? Can you speak to that?
Indeed. As I stated earlier, last mile distribution proves to be very capital intensive, both on people required and other resources. That's for startups that usually want to get into solar home system or pay-as-you-go space. It's imperative that they establish a list of important stakeholders. As we've established, MNOs are one of the most important, but then there's also other partners who pay-as-you-go companies can partner with to improve distribution. So, for example, with VITALITE, we started by engaging with local entrepreneurs who we called agents. Some were mobile money agents, others were just local entrepreneurs. To date, we now have 500 of them. But in addition to that, we also partnered with NGOs that were working in regions where we did not yet have infrastructure or people to work. So basically, we partnered with almost 6 NGOs who we called distributors, and we would train them and have them distribute our products. This proved quite successful in the early days, and thus I would attest to that to say it's one of the important partnerships that we can look for to improve distribution.
Thanks. Which brings me to another question that we received in the chat box. Can we expect to see mergers between MNOs and pay-as-you-go companies? William, I'd like to stay with you. I think one thing we haven't talked about is the potential role of MNOs as corporate investors into the industry. Pay-as-you-go companies, as you mentioned, is capital intensive. You're constantly on the lookout for new funding. Would you expect that funding to come from mobile network operators, which we've seen some but not a lot of so far?
Indeed, as you've alluded to, it's quite important to have investors that at least help increase companies' presence. So MNOs are one of them, and I would look to those as important partnerships going forward, because MNOs have an understanding of how the pay-as-you-go industry works, and it would be actually a good merge because MNOs and pay-as-you-go companies can exchange quite a number of experiences, and not just only experiences, but also important topics covered, such as data. So in a situation where an MNO acquires a pay-as-you-go company, you might find that it's easier to unlock data sharing, credit rating, and all that, which makes it easier to reach a last mile.
Great, and maybe then I'll switch to the other side. Stephen, is it ever likely going to happen that MTN or other mobile operators would invest in pay-as-you-go companies or take over pay-as-you-go companies or merge with them as corporate investors?
Thank you. I was reflecting on your question, and in the past, we have done this, especially where the partner was providing a shared voice solution in a rural setting. So we did, partner, and not only partner, we actually bought them out. We invested and then took the option of completely buying them out. So, and that was during the era of voice. So, nothing stops that as long as it aligns to the strategic aspects of deepening, the product, the solutions that an MNO would offer. I think the other aspect to it would not only be the formal investment in the formal monetary investment. Again, I speak from the partnership we have enjoyed with Phoenix, where, as I mentioned, we've had it for 10 years. And in that partnership, there were forms of investment that were not necessarily directly monetary, but they were investments into the ecosystem to make the partnership a great success. Access to the MNO's distribution network, access to the MNO's brand and branding, co-branding with with Phoenix, for instance, which, as you earlier on pointed, is leveraging the trust of a known brand at the time when Phoenix was just setting out with a known brand like MTN. So there's a trust, there's a distribution, and then there's obviously preferred access to the payment gateways that we run. And by preferred access, I mean the positioning on some of these USSD trees also helps drive that acquisition. And of course, the kind of pricing is an accessibility issue. So innovating with the partner, a solar home partner, around different models of pricing which encourage accessibility. And then, of course, back to the data thing, making sure that the partner is supported with insights, of course, at an aggregated, anonymized level within the confines of the law, but doing it in a way that they are able to get the reports on time and to make the decisions.
Thanks very much, Stephen. And I'm sorry that I have to interrupt here, because I think we need to wrap up. We've reached the end of the session. I think this was a nice teaser, hopefully for people in the audience to think about what lies ahead in the future of pay-as-you-go. We talked about broadening the services beyond energy to other needs of customers. We talked about working together on data, on credit scoring. We talked about government subsidies. We talked about an investment relationship and other forms of financial partnerships. So I think there's a lot to think about. If you want to discuss further with the panelists, I understand you can do that on the event site afterwards. I'd also like to mention that there was one topic that we didn't talk about here at all, and that is COVID. And I think it just goes to show that the COVID story is not really essential anymore on the minds, on the space of off-grid solar. Yesterday we had our own annual general meeting with the off-grid industry space, and one of the conclusions was that actually most of the companies are pretty upbeat that while COVID has had an impact on the industry should bounce back in 12 to 18 months. So with that, on that positive note, I'd like to thank my panelists. You won't be able to get a very loud applause from the audience. You'll just have to make that up yourself. But thank you very much. I think you did wonderful. So it was great to have you here on this panel, and thank you for your sharing your insights. Ilana, back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Koen, and thank you so much to our panelists and to our audience. I think that, as Koen mentioned, and this session really underscored, we see that there's just such a crucial connection between the off-grid energy sector and the mobile industry, and that really, we've been really pleased to have a great partnership with Gogla to really get as much as we can out of those partnerships and to help to bring their two industries together, to help our members work together. And this kind of discussion aims at getting us closer to those opportunities to really fully get the value out of these partnerships. And so it's great to have you, Koen, as moderating this. Thank you. And on the closing note, I would just again like to thank the UK Foreign and Development Office. You know, their foresight into this opportunity, along with us in 2013, really helped to catalyze a number of the pay-as-you-go solar models that have really continued to take off, and then to really evolve and to cover many more services, as we heard about today, also into water and things like sanitation. And so we're really delighted to see how this has continued to catalyze these opportunities. So with that, we will draw the session to a close. Thank you all again for our panelists. Thank you to our audience, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.